My name's Kim, I'm an introvert that travels the world whilst being on a tight budget, and today we're going to be talking about the impact of a pandemic on the travel industry, so more specific COVID-19 or the coronavirus. You may have seen my previous video where I discussed the best ways to travel whilst this pandemic is going, and my advice has changed since I did that video. Just stay at home, don't leave your house. If you have to leave, do it for essentials only. If you can try and not leave at all, just stay at home. But in that video, I discussed briefly what impact that the COVID-19 had on the travel industry. Today we're going to go more in depth. And I'm going to also explain ways that we can help the travel industry get through this too. So what is a coronavirus, or more specifically, what is COVID-19? Basically, a coronavirus is a virus which can transfer from animals to human. It doesn't always, but it can do. So they're zoonotic. The coronavirus COVID-19 is the 7th of its kind to actually transfer from animal to human. So why has it devastated the travel industry? One of the most volatile and vulnerable industries at the moment is the travel industry. And essentially it's because a lot of countries have closed their borders. And if you can't travel, then people aren't going to be traveling. So essentially, that's why the travel industry is struggling. Even the European Economic Area has got some of its border restrictions back in place. The travel industry requires a lot of movement of people from one place to another to remain profitable. And with people not travelling, they can't survive. And it's not just the companies themselves that are struggling, it's the staff that are hired by them. A lot of companies have had to lay off staff without pay. And without these people having money either, then it's not just the travel industry that suffers, but other industries do too. Essentially, if people don't travel, then companies don't get money, they can't pass the money on to their staff, and it's not just a company problem, it's just normal human being problem too. With previous coronavirus spreads, we've seen the travel industry able to bounce back, but obviously there are always going to be some casualties. And one of the ones that has been more devastating, I guess, to the UK, and more specific to like small local airports like Cardiff, has been the loss of Flybe. Flybe contributed 24% of the traffic that actually left Cardiff Airport. Cardiff Airport is the airport closest to where I live, and 24% less traffic leaving an airport that's not that far away from me, considering the next closest airport is three and a half hours away, can be not just devastating to the airline and the staff, but the local people as well. We're not able to get as far as we used to because there's just not that connections anymore. Passenger numbers in Germany's big airport hub, Frankfurt, have dropped by 90.7%. 90.7% less traffic leaving. That's just, it's crazy, it's unbelievable. Companies that you wouldn't even consider, like baggage handling companies, because of all the flight suspension, they've seen a loss of 95% of their revenue, which can be devastating. But it's not just airlines that are struggling at the moment, it's cruise line companies, coach tours, hotels, hostels, holiday camps. Also, there are people in the hospitality sector that get impacted as well as retail. And a lot of the tourist-centric countries are getting hit hard as well. Going on a cruise comes with an increased risk of illness, be it from stomach bugs or respiratory illnesses. We've seen a lot of reports in the media at the moment of people getting sick on cruise liners. And will that make people not trust going on cruises so much in the future? Will this impact from the cruise line industry continue beyond us when we can travel again? We just don't know. When something devastating happens in a country, people can be hesitant to return. What happens if the whole idea of travelling is deemed unsafe and people are hesitant to return to travelling? In an industry that has already seen massive losses, will it be able to survive? But as with everything, you've got to be aware that anything you do can't be done without risk. So when this is over, and if you're thinking whether it's worth travelling again, literally anything you do, there's a risk. You know, you go out into the street and you cross the road and there's a risk there. So I wouldn't let this put you off travelling if it is in the back of your mind too. So bearing all this in mind, what can we do at the moment to help the travel industry recover from this very disruptive and volatile time? Well, it's not just the airliners and stuff like that that have been impacted, like I've said, but also the retail and hospitality industry. One way that we can help them is to buy shop local but shop online. So these little companies, little businesses, may be the ones that rely on tourism a lot more, and without the tourism there, they don't have an income. So if you are thinking about buying new things or going to get takeaway or anything like that, try and shop local but shop online, so that they still have a way of being able to conduct business without having to open their physical shop, which in the UK, if they're a non-essential business, they can't do anyway. We can buy gift vouchers, not just for shops, but for airline and excursion companies that you can use to spend at a later date. Been to a place but never left them a review online? This would be the perfect chance to leave them a TripAdvisor, because any reviews that they can get is just going to help boost business once we're through all this mess. Also, go on your social media and share their businesses. Let people know that you enjoy going there. Let them know that it's a business that you support and you want to help. I understand that the travel industry is going through a really tough time at the moment, but if you've had to delay a trip because of the coronavirus, think about changing the date rather than taking a refund. Essentially, companies need money to be able to continue running, and without money, they can't do anything. They can't run anymore, and then they go bust. And it's not just the company that suffers then from going bust, but it's the people that are employed by it as well. So if you can change dates rather than cancelling, then that is best. Or if you can take a credit note for a future flight or something like that. Any way of trying to keep the money in their business means that they can hopefully come out the other side and they can still retain those staff. Even if I had to lay off staff at the moment, they can hire them back in the future, because they know that there's stuff going on beyond it. You know, they've still got travel booked to continue. I've been told that if you're due to travel 2 to 3 weeks in the future or beyond, just wait for your travel company to get in contact with you. They're going to be having a massive amount of calls, and with people having to work from home, there aren't going to be so many people able to answer the calls, so you're going to be waiting for a long time. So if you can hold off and wait for them to get in contact with you, then that's one way that you can help as well, just by being patient and waiting. A lot of companies are emailing out links for you to be able to change your date and cancel anyway. So even if you're due to travel beyond that, you may be able to adjust the date that you're travelling now already. For example, I was due to travel to Greece in May, and TUI sent an email with a little link which we could go onto our account and change our date already, even though it's more than a month before we go. Actually, it's a month today we were meant to go. But anyway, just wait for them to get in contact with you rather than you getting in contact with them, if you can at all. Check if your travel insurance will cover you for COVID-19 as well. If you panic bought your travel insurance in the past month or so, COVID-19 might not be covered on it. So just check that just in case. But that might be a way, if the company isn't willing to cancel and you can't travel because you're in like an at-risk category or something like that. That may be one way of you being able to get your money back. But just bear in mind, if you haven't said that you've got pre-existing medical conditions and then you're trying to use that as a reason to get money back, you're not going to get your money back. And if, like I said, if you panic bought it in the last month or so, you might not be able to get it back anyway using your travel insurance. That's why I always say to buy your travel insurance on the same day that you're booking your holiday. Otherwise, things like this may happen. So even if you know you're going to book somewhere, buy the travel insurance before you've even booked it. That's even better. But at least buy it on the same day. We can't tell how long this is going to go on for, but having something in place, a travel plan in place to look forward to for the future is always really nice. Like, I've got my trip to Greece, which we've delayed until May next year, but I've also got a trip to Iceland in November, and just knowing that hopefully, I'm hoping we'll be able to go to Iceland in November is something that's like spurring me on. Like, I'm excited to go to Iceland, and it's not all bleak. There's something to look forward to at the end of it. I'm going to be quoting someone now, so I'm going to read this. But aviation analyst Paul Charles says, "We'll get through this. We have an inherent desire to travel. It's in our DNA. The virus isn't going to kill that off. We'll want to travel again, and the industry will recover." Further pandemics in the future are not guaranteed, but now we've had one that has majorly impacted the travel industry. We need to have stuff in place, protocols in place to support the airlines, but also support the customers as well. Because this has happened, and this is such an unprecedented event that has occurred, they're kind of getting away with not being able to sort of organise things fast enough, because it is, like I said, unprecedented. Nothing like this in the modern time has happened before. We've had smaller scale events which have cancelled some sort of travel, but not something that has so massively impacted global travelling for such a long period. The travel industry is going to have things in place where it can better process refunds or changing dates and things like that. Otherwise, people are going to start mistrusting the travel industry, and it is something that they're going to have to be aware of. If something like this happens again, they're not going to have the excuse of it being unprecedented, because it's happened before. And if it happens again and they use the same excuse, people aren't going to trust people in the future. They're not going to trust companies. If you're interested in finding out more specifically about how COVID-19 has impacted content creators like myself, then stay tuned for Monday's video. Basically, I'm going to be going through my analytics, showing you my analytics from my channel, and seeing what has happened since, I'm guessing, start of March, with the analytics and how it's affected the amount of people that watch my channel. And just like a small disclaimer, it isn't to gloat or it isn't for pity. It's because I find videos that discuss analytics on YouTube channels and other social media platforms quite interesting. If I find it interesting, there's going to be other people who find it interesting as well. I'm going to be looking at ways that we can also help support content creators through this time where they may be seeing less traffic, because, little spoiler, but if people aren't travelling, people tend not to want to watch videos of people travelling. So if you're interested in that video, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified when I release that video. So what I'm going to do is put a video here, which is going to be the previous coronavirus video that I released, giving you information on how to travel during this time. Hint, don't travel, but if you go into, there's some really handy hints in that video, and I'll put another video that I think you'll enjoy down there. But I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again. Enjoy your life. Ta-da!